but I had no idea what was happening. And I came upstairs and I must have banged something and scared her and she ran. But when you're covered in baby powder and you run, you look like you're on fire because it's just this huge cloud of smoke is what it looks like. So I chased my cat around thinking she's on fire.
Welcome to the Purr Podcast, your favorite feline-focused podcast, where we dive into all things feline. Medicine, surgery, behavior, and of course, a sprinkle of veterinary gossip along the way.
I'm Dr. Jolle Kirpensteijn, feline fanatic, surgery nerd, and self-proclaimed lover of all things awkwardly cat-related.
And I'm Dr. Susan Little, proud cat vet, podcast enthusiast, and your guide to the wonderfully weird world of feline medicine. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Dr. Susan Little.
And Dr. Jolle Kirpensteijn, and this is the
Purr Podcast.
It is.
Jolle, you were really slow coming in there.
Where? In the Purr Podcast?
Yeah. You're feeling okay?
It's your imagination. You probably didn't see it right enough.
You're feeling okay, are you?
I am feeling fine. Susan. Thank you
Just
for asking.
checking.
So,
Just
how are your
checking.
eyes, Dr. Susan?
My eyes are very good now. Yes.
Right.
I had some eye procedures in the fall of 2025 for context, and so I have new eyes now.
Yes. Yeah, I was wondering about that in when I met you the last time. You were wandering around, kind of feeling where things were, but now you can see.
Wasn't that bad?
You can see
it's
our
funny
lovely
though.
Smiles.
You don't know how bad your vision is until it's corrected, right? And so I must have spent the first month going, wow, just like looking around, like
so
everything is so bright.
What color has changed the most?
It's not colors, it's the brightness and intensity. Yeah. For about a month, everything was too bright and intense. And I was like, no, turn it off. Somebody turn the lights down. So, yeah.
All right, Dr. Susan, what are we going to do today? I know it is the new year, so I guess we have to wish everybody a happy new year.
Yes.
And we hope that everybody had a wonderful holiday season. I don't know,
Yes.
Is it too late already to wish people happy new year?
No, so I think, so today, again, just for context, today is January 12th of 2026.
Right.
And these episodes will be out in February, right, Jolle?
No, end of January.
Okay.
Right.
And so it's January 12th today. And for me, like my personal cutoff is like halfway through the month.
Yeah. So in Holland, we normally wish everybody happy New Year until Three Kings Day, and Three Kings Day is January 6th. So I'm a little
that's
late,
old
anyway,
Christmas.
we didn't have a podcast before that, so we're stuck.
Right. My family always called January 6th Old Christmas.
Yeah, maybe that's the same reason. I remember that we had a cake on Three Kings Day, and there were multiple slices, and one slice had a cherry pit in it. And when you...
A cherry what?
Pit. So it was a cherry
It does
cake.
not sound good.
Yes, because if you had the cherry pit and you broke your tooth, then you were the king of the day.
Oh, sweet.
All right. So you
So
have
how
to
do you
eat
say-
carefully.
How do you say Happy New Year in Dutch, Jolle?
Gelukkig nieuwjaar.
Okay. And making a rare appearance in front of the camera,
Right.
we have our communications manager, Stacey, with us today. Yay! So how do you say Happy New Year in Spanish, Stacey?
Oh, I have no idea.
Feliz
No.
Navidad.
Yeah, that's Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad.
That's Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. We probably should know that.
Bonne
It's
année.
Bonne année, that's
Gelukkig
French.
nieuwjaar.
That's fine for Canada. Yes, bonne année. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But so many, I'm going to look at Google Translate. I should know this, by the way.
Of course, we're going to Google Translate it. And as
Yeah,
soon as he finds it, we'll all go, oh, yeah.
I usually just say I made it.
Yeah, right. Another year under the belt, still standing.
Yeah.
Yep, still standing.
Feliz Año Nuevo.
Oh, see, that makes total
yeah.
sense, right?
It's not that
Feliz
difficult.
Año Nuevo. Yeah. I feel like we should have figured that out.
And we do that because we have so many people all over the world listening to this amazing podcast.
Jolle, do you know how many countries? You can figure out how many countries, right?
Yes, we can, and we will talk about that because Stacey is here for a special reason, because this is our stats episode. We're
For
doing
2025.
the statistics of last year. We'll be talking about how many downloads we had. We'll talk about which episodes were the most popular. We'll talk about our social media efforts and a lot of stuff. So, and we might even talk about some of the episodes that we liked the most. And there were, of course,
I hope so, because
episodes that we did not like.
I have 3 episodes that I like the most, so I hope we can talk about.
Yeah, I know which one. I know one that we both like the most, but
okay.
And we have a nice background that fits with that.
We'll have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait which one that is. So very exciting. Welcome, Stacey.
Yeah.
Stacey normally deals with these 2 nutcases on the background. And now she's
that's right. She usually doesn't have to confront us on video. So
right.
Great
so
girl.
Stacey was kind enough to say, okay, I'll step from the background right in the spotlight. And we have a YouTube channel, so you can see Stacey.
Yes.
Then she becomes famous.
Yes. And if you follow us on social media at Purr Podcast, which I hope you do, dear listeners, Stacey is the magic behind all of our social media. She does it all from scratch, and it looks amazing.
She's the social media magician.
Yes.
And it's a lot of fun.
Oh.
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah.
That's so good to hear.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Stacey, I have a question for you. The first question of the year is, how do you deal with these 2 nutcases?
Are you including yourself in that?
I guess so. It's not Ben and Susan that I'm referring to. By the way, Ben is our audio expert. He does everything on the background too, dealing with the audio and cutting up the
editing
and everything. So thank you, Ben, for all your hard work too.
Yes. So we have this amazing team of 2.
4 in total.
It's 4.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
True. Yes. Yeah. They may only be 2, but they're the best 2. So
yes, it's the quadrant of the Purr Podcast. So
yes.
Anyway, Stacey, did you do anything fun during the holidays that has to do with cats?
That has to do with cats?
Yes.
No, I didn't.
Me neither.
No.
Really?
I mean, I worked on stuff for the Purr Podcast.
Yes. Okay, that's good enough. That's good enough. So
yeah,
I'm thinking about if I did anything with cats either I had a very quiet holiday, I have to say. So stayed at home, didn't do a lot, enjoyed family, enjoyed Chippy.
Except for trying to travel was the holidays are always a bad travel time anyway, though, aren't they?
Right.
Yeah.
And we travel.
Your family has dogs, though.
Huh?
Your family has the D word, don't they, Jolle?
Who has the D word?
Your family?
And my family has the D word.
The lesser species.
No, I know what she means, but I don't understand the question.
As pets, do your family members have cats as pets, or?
As a matter of fact, I don't think any of my family members has any pets at the moment.
Oh,
but
wow.
My parents used to have little D's, these stretched out little D's, and the popular breed, obviously.
Yeah.
That get intervertebral disc disease. Hopefully everybody will recognize that breed. So they had them, but not for a long time. But we have never had cats. And one of the reasons is that I'm very allergic to cats.
Yes. Yes.
So I wish I could have a cat, but I have Chippy now.
Yeah. He has a dog that's smaller than most cats.
You said the word. That's one.
I already said it and you
That
missed
is
it. So
2 bottles for Stacey and myself. Thank
Yeah,
you
so
very
I
much.
get a bottle now.
Yes, exactly. You're on the podcast, so you do. And I just want to say that we don't want the cheap stuff. So nice bottles, please.
okay.
And because it is it's during the holidays, you can also buy champagne if you want.
Oh, thank you. Nice to know.
Excellent. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the podcast itself, what it takes to make a podcast, and we normally are not very organized. So when we get guests, we normally don't tell them what we're going to talk about, except for the fact that we're talking about cats.
Yes. And I like that we don't tell them, like we don't, because partly because we don't know.
Right. We don't know ourselves.
No, exactly. We
Right.
don't know ourselves. Like we might know broadly. So if we have an ophthalmologist, we usually don't ask skin disease questions. It's narrowed down up to a body system, let's say.
Okay, so then I have a question for you both, and I'll answer this question too. Tell me the most fun cat story that you know.
You mean of all time?
Of all time. You can also do of 2025, but I don't want to narrow it down that much. But tell me a cat story, because we have a cat audience. So let's start this podcast with a nice couple of cat stories.
Okay, I have a cat story.
I knew you would.
I have a lot of cat stories. So this story is about a patient I had in like my first or second year of practice. All my best stories come from my first couple of years of practice. So this was early on, and I was seeing appointments, and I went in the appointment room, and there was this lovely all black cat sitting on the table with some people who said that he wasn't their cat. He was a cat that they always saw around the neighborhood. But they'd noticed recently he was getting thinner and thinner. Like he was eating well. He'd eat whatever they put out for him, but he was losing weight. And so even though he wasn't their cat, they brought him into the veterinarian because they were concerned about him. Now, I just have to say, in my book, if you feed the cat and you take them for veterinary care, and especially if you name the cat, I think it's your cat. I'm just saying. So anyway, so they bring him in and we run some tests, and it turns out he has hyperthyroidism, right? So he gets put on medication. And I remembered this cat particularly, partly because of the story, but also because his tail curled like a monkey's tail.
Oh.
Yeah. And so it was unusual, quite unusual. I've only seen, a few cats, and that was the first one I'd ever seen. And so he came back for, I think, his first follow-up visit with the same people. And then on another appointment that was probably 2 or 3 weeks after the original one, I go in the exam room, and there's this cat here, and he's recognizable because of his tail, right? But there's completely different people with him. And so these people say, this is not our cat, but we see him in the neighborhood all the time, and we feed him, and he's, and he's friendly, but we've noticed he's lost weight recently, and we were worried. And so I look at him and I go, it's you, right? It's the same cat. This was pre-microchip era. That's how old I am. So it's not like we could tell who he was, right? So I explained, I look at their address, and yes, they're, in the same area. So I explained to the people that their good neighbors had already brought him in, and they should coordinate giving medication in that, right? So that he doesn't get too much medication. And I kid you not, a week later, guess what happens? I go in for another new client appointment, and there's the same cat with a third set of owners. So By the third time, I thought, this can't be real. Like, and he was a lovely cat. He'd always just sit there on the table by himself with his little tail curled, right? And by that third time, he actually was gaining some weight, right? But they were concerned about him. So we had to make we were still with paper records in those days, right? So we had to make this big paper record with the names of all of the people in the area that fed him, because everybody said he's not their cat. So, yeah. So that's okay. And I have another one that I have to tell you quickly because it's really good. So also in my first year of practice, so I go into the exam room and there's this like little middle-aged woman. And by little, I mean, I'm only 5'3". She's maybe 5 feet. And she's got 3 young boys with her, sort of 7 to 10, let's say. And she's got this petite little gray cat. And as soon as I walk in the room and see the cat, he's got an upper respiratory tract infection, right? You can tell he's got ruddy eyes and he's sneezing a bit. But I'm preoccupied because the 3 little boys are immediately into everything. And in that practice, the exam room communicated with the pharmacy, and there wasn't a lockable door between the two. So the kids really quickly, like, they were in the pharmacy, they were pulling things out. I don't know what they were eating in there, God knows. Right. And so I'm trying to like keep the kids from poisoning themselves or, sticking themselves with needles. And I'm like, pulling them out of drawers. And the woman is oblivious. She's just oblivious. And so I think I got to get this done. So I do a quick exam of the cat. And I say to the lady, your cat has an upper respiratory tract infection. It's really common problem. And I'm going to prescribe some medication and that should help. And she looks at me and says, but that's not why I'm here. And, pulling kid out of the scalpel drawer, right? I say, so why are you here, right? I just really want to get them out. And she says, I want you to tell me, is this my cat? And I said, what do you mean, is this your cat? And she says, well, our cat went missing about a month ago. And like yesterday, this one showed up. And he looks kind of like him. Is this my cat? And by this point, I looked at her and I said, yes, in my opinion, this is your cat. There'll be medication at the front desk. And away she goes.
Yeah. Oh, those are really good stories. I like them. Very good.
Yeah. Those are my 2 best. So.
Okay, Stacey, do you have a story?
Well, a long time ago, when I had a cat, her name was Chaos, and it was very fitting. And she had knocked over a big container of baby powder in the bathroom, unbeknownst to me, and had rolled all around on it. She was like a dark gray tabby. And when she came out of that bathroom, she looked white or light gray. But I had no idea what was happening. And I came upstairs and I must have banged something and scared her and she ran. But when you're covered in baby powder and you run, you look like you're on fire because it's just this huge cloud of smoke is what it looks like. So I chased my cat around thinking she's on fire for quite a while until I caught her and realized that she was just covered in baby powder.
Oh my God.
And then so was I after that.
Yeah, and every single room too. I like that's chaos.
Yeah.
Chaos.
She smelled
like
great.
Name, though.
She
That's
smelled
cool.
very good.
Right.
I bet she did.
Mm-hmm.
I bet she did.
So I have a black cat story too when I was still practicing. So I had a cat that had a sarcoma on the side. And in cats, sarcomas often are not very good, especially when they're injection site sarcomas. They're often really aggressive. You have to be super aggressive in surgery. So that person had already 1 surgery done. The cat came in. I wanted to have second opinion. And I said, no, we can try it and see how it works, if it works. But, these don't always have a good prognosis when you do a second surgery. So big surgery. Took the tumor out. Margins were okay, but you never know if it will metastasize or not. So that cat came back when I was still practicing. I had these tumor cases. I let them come back most of the time at 7 days to remove the sutures, or if it's a suture line that's under the skin just to check the sutures. And then every month for 3 months, then every half a year for probably 2 years, and then every year beyond. And this cat is probably the cat that has come to me the most, because I think they brought him in when he was 4, and the cat died when he was 16. So I had 12 years of knowing these people with this black cat. And you saw the cat go from a 4-year-old to an 8-year-old, to a 12-year-old to a geriatric. And so when he died, when he was 16, I was pretty upset. And the owner sent me a nice card, and so I was pretty upset about, when you have this relationship with these animals, even though you don't see them that often. It was always fun when I saw them on. When I looked at my appointment schedule and I saw they were on, I was like, oh, the cat is coming. I'm so happy to see the cat. And he never had a recurrence, so it was one of the lucky ones. So
what age did he have the
16.
tumor?
Oh, no, around 4, I would say. He lived 12 years past the tumor.
Wow.
I don't know exactly the dates. But what I do remember is that a month later, I got a card from these owners with a kitten, a really pitch black kitten. It was a picture of the kitten. And I was like, oh, wow, they must have gotten a new cat. And I turned around the picture, and they said a very, very nice note to thank me for all my hard work. And they said, we just want to remember you as one of these wonderful doctors that did so much. So we named the cat Jolle. So they named the cat after my first name, and that is the only cat that has ever been named after me. But I was so proud when when they did it. It was such a nice thing to do. And so so there is a little Jolle running around.
I love the story.
He's still alive.
Because usually when a patient dies, it's the veterinarian who sends the card to the owner. But in this
which
case,
I do too. I do normally do that too. So
I love that the owners knew how sad you were, and they sent you a card.
I know. Yeah. So.
Aww.
So that's the story. All right. We don't have a lot of time. We have been talking a lot. So we have about 4 minutes. I would suggest, Stacey, that you do a couple of top line statistics, and then we dive into the rest in our next episode, which we'll launch in about 2 weeks. So, Stacey, how many episodes do we have? And give us some stats.
Okay. So in 2025, we released 26 episodes.
Ooh.
Wow.
So once every 2 weeks. So those were podcast episodes. Most of them were 2-parters, but we did have a couple single part episodes in there. And I don't know if you can guess the most listened to one based on our Spreaker stats. So that's going to pull podcast downloads. So the most listened to of all of the ones that were downloaded was the one by Dr. Terza Brostock.
I was going to say that one.
It was the first part. She did episodes on FIP, on vaccination. I think vaccination was more so in the part 2. But she did a lot of new information from the perspective of a microbiologist about FIP. What's being studied, what we know now, what has changed. And the interesting thing is that it did not correspond with what was higher statistically on social media.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit surprising. In terms of total downloads based on the stats on Spreaker, I did the date range just for 2025. And it was 17,170 podcast downloads.
Whoa.
Now, one thing that we really bumped up this year, and I think that some folks might be listening or watching this way, is on YouTube.
Yeah.
So we did a lot
I am so excited to hear these numbers.
I know. We did a lot of long form podcast episodes on YouTube, both video, but I also decided to go back at what we had released the entire year that didn't have video. And I released an audio version of it, but I made it a little bit nicer. I gave folks something to watch. Like I had photos of cats coming in and out and things like that. So there was some interesting visuals, and they could also listen and watch on YouTube. So that was, it's going to be something that might split out our data a little bit.
Right.
Because some folks prefer the YouTube platform, even if they're not watching the screen. There's a lot of people who just have it on in the background.
Right.
I listen to podcasts on YouTube if they're on YouTube. So I mean, it's just one less app, right? One less app to open. So I'm one of those.
Before we go any further, we're at the end. So this is the cliffhanger. More data is coming out in our next episode. Thank you, Stacey, for being on. Thank you for the stories. And Dr. Susan, would you like to end our episode?
No, I want to keep going.
All right. Dr. Susan will stay on, and we will all leave. Just shut your device off. She'll be in the ether forever.
Or you can leave, Jolle, and Stacey and I'll just keep chatting.
Sure. Sounds like a great idea. Okay, this was the Purr Podcast. You can get more information at purrpodcast.net. Excellent. And as Stacey said, we have a YouTube channel where all the videos are available. Susan specifically did her hair for this one and looks great, Dr. Susan.
Thank you. I tried.
Right. Stacey, thank you so much. See you in 2 weeks.
This is the Purr Podcast, where we talk cats, laugh a lot, and learn something new every episode. Together, we bring you the latest updates, surprising cases, expert interviews, and just a touch of chaos, because nothing with cats ever goes as planned.
So whether you're a seasoned veterinary pro, a new grad, or you're just here for the cat puns, you've come to the right place.